Good afternoon guys and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a cold Mr. Dave Harrison.
Viv inside says it's brightening up and warming up. I think there's something wrong with the glasses.
Viv has been inside too long in the last few months. So today we're going to be looking at some wedges. So over lockdown Dave has mentioned about doing a wedge fitting, and lucky enough to have quite a few wedges at the moment. So put those on screen now. We've got a Callaway
Jaws.
We've got a Callaway CB, I believe it is called. We've got the Ping Glide. We've got the TaylorMade Tiger Woods 56. We've got the Mizuno, and we've also got the classic of a Vokey 56 degree as well. We've also got Dave's Shrixon, current one of
Cleveland
even, not Shrixon. His wedge. So they're all 56 degrees. So this is what we're going to do, and if you was going to test out wedges, we'd want to see, we've got different bounces on here. They range from 8 degrees of bounce up to 14 degrees of bounce. They've also different colours, different finishes to them. They've also got, some have got grooves all the way to the toe. So all different options that you could have.
So what difference does bounce make?
So bounce obviously is something that a lot of people ask about, because everybody mentions what bounce do you want, and it's very personal. You know, they do say that you'd have less bounce if you're on a links course, for example, because it's Titleist. You're going to need a little bit more leading edge to get under that. You don't want it to bounce and hit the club. Others where you might have a lot of bounce is more for a parkland course, where normally your fairways are a little bit longer, your rough's a little bit longer, so you've got more grass, so you can have more bounce, which is going to encourage, if you do hit the ground a little bit early, as it says, it's going to bounce there and you're still going to make some contact. It's not going to be hitting up on there. Obviously also the bounce comes off the bottom of the club, so if you're on a tight lie, it would be bottoming out first and you'd be catching it thin. So bounce is something that you need to look at. Again, finish, how sharp the leading edge is, that's a big thing for me. Some wedges will have more of a sharp leading edge as you look down, where some might be more rounded, and that can give you confidence. And confidence obviously in chipping is just like putting, is very key. You want to be stood over something that you're confident in being able to chip close. If you're standing over something going, all I can do is knife this, more than likely you're going to knife it. So we're going to go...
Never.
Well, exactly. So we're going to try these different ones out, and what we're going to do, we're going to hit 2 shots with each wedge. So one short and one long. So we've got around about a 15-yard shot here, and then we've got around about a 40-yard shot. So we're going to use the clubs, we're going to hit the 2 different shots to those, and we're going to see and narrow it down to a couple, or maybe 3, of which Dave prefers, what he likes the look of, what's giving him the best results, what's giving him the best feel. And then we're going to go around the green, hit a couple of shots, and then finish in the bunker. Which one's going to be the most consistent in the bunker? And that's how you'd test out how you would get a wedge that suits your game. Obviously, we need to play the different shots. It's very hard just fitting a wedge inside off a mat. Oh, chip that one, oh yeah, it feels all good. Oh yeah, that one feels good. They all feel good because the mat's designed to give you a little bit more forgiveness. As we know, out on the grass, if you miss-hit it slightly, the ball is only going to go there. Hopefully Dave doesn't do that, but it'd be funny for the fans.
Yeah. So, if I was in the market to buy some new wedges, how many wedges would you buy? I mean, I've currently got 3 Cleveland wedges and my pitching wedge.
Yep. So set makeup of wedges is very dependent on handicap. Again, how far you might hit the ball. So it's making sure that your bag is obviously leveled out. So
yeah.
For example, yourself, you might have more hybrids and more forgiving clubs at the top of the bag. So maybe, you know, your 56 might be the max you go.
Because when we did gapping,
yep,
like some of my wedges were basically mirrored by the other wedges that I'd got.
Correct, yeah. So some matched in, and when you get to a 60 degree or a 58, as you know, I don't really like them, but again, there's not many shots you can play. If you're a mid handicapper, even a low handicapper, even a scratch or plus handicap golfer, you don't necessarily need more at the lower end of the bag. You need more stuff that's going to help you at the top. For example, like Dave's got a 5 hybrid, because that's easier for him to strike with his club head speed. no offence. But it gives him a better chance of making a good strike, it'll get him a higher launch, and it'll get him landing softer on a green than him trying to hit a 5-iron. If he uses a normal 5-iron...
Thinner 5-iron,
thinner 5-iron, if he mishits, let's say, 3 out of 10, that's cost him a lot of shots. With his hybrid, he might do 1 out of 10. You're saving 2 shots potentially there, or saving more because you might hit it closer. So it's obviously working out what you want at the top of your bag, and then we can fit in wedges below. Again, with clubs going a little bit stronger, so now your pitching wedges are looking at 44 degrees, it's matching in with a pitching wedge. If you go to a strong set, you might obviously then you might only go to 54. But trust me, with a 54, if you have the right technique and maybe a lesson, you can play every shot with a 54. You just have to understand what you're doing with that. So let's get into it then. So we're going to hit 2 with each club. So we're going to start obviously with Dave's old trusty. It's Cleveland, not Trixon. And we're going to hit 2 shots with each, the first flag and then the second flag, and I will move the camera.
Okay.
Okay, so we're in now. So first couple of shots, we'll go with Dave's original with the Cleveland. We're going to go to this first flag first, so a little bit of a short-sided shot. And then we're going to see to the back flag. So we're going to get, again, Dave's just going to go through his normal routine, normal technique. We're going to see if any feels better, any look better down to it. I mean, the first one he did before this was on camera, he did hit close. Right, Dave, so not your best, but again, this shows, again, how wedge, how bounce can affect it. If he had more on the club, he has quite a bit, but some has been ground off. So it might have less bounce, so one of these might be more forgiving, and that shot still might have got close. So this is where you trial and error. If you can get your miss hits to go closer, obviously we get in there. The same with forgiving irons and forgiving drivers. The idea is your bad shots still go okay. So let's go to the back one, Dave.
Well, I'll try and get it a bit closer than that one did.
Try and get it on the green, to be honest, Dave.
That'd be good, wouldn't it? Well, it were on.
It was on, nowhere near where we wanted it. But again, there with Dave, it's a pattern that we've seen before.
Yeah, it is.
On the green. It's not something new. We did it a good one close before off camera, so it's the pressure. But again, that's something that we see, and this is something that we want to get rid of. Can we get him a wedge that looks a little bit nicer down at the ball? He's just a little bit more forgiving. I know some of you might say, well, the later we get on, Dave's hit more shots, so he might be more consistent. But he's still got to repeat and still got to have the technique. Obviously, we're not changing any technique-wise now. We're just seeing if the club will help him. So next, I'm going to go for probably the most forgiving one. So the Callaway CB Mac Daddy. So this is a 56 degree. It has a lot of bounce. You'll see it has a very wide sole. And again, here we have the grooves all the way to the end of the face. So even his off-centre strike, his toe strikes, should still have some spin, should still get good distance, and maybe have more control. I mean, I'm saying all good things, but Dave's still got to do the work.
I was going to say, I've still got to hit it, mate.
Right, so 2 more, same. We'll start with the first one.
It feels funny, doesn't it? Big sole.
Very big sole on this one. Again, this is what people would say is for a forgiving, but very forgiving. So people say, oh, it's for a high handicapper. But I did fit an England golfer, a senior, for one of these, and he really enjoyed it. He found it a lot more forgiving, easy to hit.
That wasn't best hit in the world either.
Wasn't the best hit in the world, but you see it still come out. It came out a little bit lower than normal for Dave, but it's gone on there to about 6 feet, so it's giving him a chance. So not the best strike, but still got a good result, and that's the thing that we're looking for.
It's on.
It's on. Right, so now let's go longer.
Warming up though, Chris.
I wish it were.
I'd take that from that distance.
So again, not your best strike.
No.
A little bit lower on the
bit
face.
towy as well, but...
A little bit towy, but because of those grooves going closer, it still got to his distance, and that's inside tour average. And Dave's going to think, well, I didn't hit that great, but it's gone inside tour average. Dave's getting giddy. So now I'm going to give him something that's got a lot more sharper leading edge, which is the Callaway Jaws. Okay, so we're going to go to the Jaws now. You will see Dave's had a costume. I'm going to pause and let him go to the car to get his woolly hat. So,
very cold. I've even taken the bag back just in case. Thought it might be getting a bit cold, bless it.
Unbelievable. So we've just been CB, so again, felt nice. He didn't mind the longer grooves all the way to the end of the toe. We're now going to go to something with a little bit more sharper leading edge in the Jaws. It's got 10 degrees of bounce, so this is 4 degrees bounce less, a little less forgiving than the CB. So we're going to see if this has any effect on Dave. Obviously we know at the moment with his Cleveland, again, it wasn't very forgiving. So we've gone from something not forgiving to the CB, which is very forgiving, and now back to something in between. So Dave, step on up. So same as always, we're going to go to the short one first, and then we're going to get him to go to the long one.
Can you turn heating up, Chris?
It is freezing. Don't be deceived by the sun. Pretty good shit.
Yeah.
Not too bad. So again, over the ball, how did that look?
All right. I didn't feel that comfortable with it, to be honest with you. It's all right.
Looks a little bit sharp.
Yeah.
Edge,
yeah, a bit.
Not as friendly.
Exactly. That's exactly.
We'll go to the longer one now again, Dave. So now there is somebody there. Hopefully Dave will.
Thanks for that.
Might not reach, to be fair.
In fairness, yeah. Well, I reached.
So he reached there, it came off pretty fast.
Yeah.
Again, good interaction with the ground there, so 10 degrees bounce wasn't too bad for Dave, but didn't feel as comfortable over it.
No, I didn't.
No?
No.
So again, we're going to go more forgiving again, so we're going to go a little bit backwards here. We've got the Pin Glide 3, so 14 degrees of bounce, so exactly the same as the CB.
What's the loft?
Loft is 56, as I like to say. We don't have the grooves all the way to the edge of the face, so this might be something that people want a forgiving wedge but don't like the grooves all the way to the end, so you could have this as an option. So it's got plenty of bounce on there, so you can be, it's more forgiving, but the grooves don't go to the edge of the face.
Like that.
Pretty nice.
Yeah.
Centered strike.
Yeah, hit it right in the middle.
So looks a little bit more rounded.
Yeah.
Down at the ball. So again, the edges to the putter suits the eye a little bit to the putter, to the wedge. Look a little bit more forgiving. So straight away, good flight, good contact. Actually a centered strike, which as we know is a rarity for Dave. So now let's go long.
Yeah, I like that.
So good flight there, finished nice and close to the hole, so it was a good shot, struck it well, again centre strike.
Yeah, yeah, so very good, like that.
Likes the look, so we're going to switch now, we're going back less forgiving. It's got 12 degrees of bounce, so it's still got some bounce, but this is the Tiger Woods.
Oh, well, if it's Tigers.
Tiger Woods design, so again, he likes to be versatile, likes to play a lot of different shots, so he can open this, close this. Dave thinks he can open and close.
I can play all shots in book, just not necessarily when I want.
On command. So this one, slightly different, Dave. So what's the difference you can see?
It's rusty and it's smaller.
Correct. So doesn't look as big over the ball, so again, for your mid-handicappers, even for me, it starts to look like you haven't got much of a sweet spot to hit.
Doesn't exactly fill me full of confidence, Chris.
The rust finish, again, that's designed. They used to have the oil can Vokeys. Again, they say that you got a little bit more friction as they rusted.
And did you though?
Like them, I believe so. Potentially, but people thought they just looked really old. They've gone away from them now, Vokey, so that's obviously interesting.
I suppose on the bright side, if it's a sunny day, you're not going to get a load of reflection off it.
Don't get any glare, so that's one thing. Obviously, a lot of wedges, you know, your chrome finishers, when you're in the sun, it's beaming in your eyes.
Well, that's what I'd call a good bad one.
A good bad one, so a little bit of a drop kick. It popped up and it was lucky to hit the edge of the fringe and kick forward. You know, if this was slightly further, that had been back at Dave's feet or at the bottom of the slope. So let's go longer now. So a little divot, just ran on a little bit past. So again, not too bad, but you can see there, because it's got a bit of a sharper leading edge, Dave has took a little divot there. It wouldn't be the perfect strike. Results fine, but again, Dave said not too great contacts.
No, it wasn't great contact either time.
But he's not rushing to buy it.
No.
So now we go to the ultimate Mizuno ES21. So if anything, they designed this on being the most forgiving wedge.
We'll see.
And you can see that it's a lot chunkier, it's a lot wider, even on the top edge. Still got a relatively big sole, so again forgiving, but the black finish on there.
Well, I wasn't sure about it, but I actually thought that it was a complete black finish. I wasn't expecting it to be sort of silvery grey on the face. So I quite like that because it frames it a little bit.
It frames the ball a little bit, that's right, so it looks like you've got more area to hit. Great shot. So
See, that was a good strike. So they weren't really lucky like the last one.
No, so this is where you come when you're doing a wedge fitting. It's about obviously taking away which gives you a good strike. You want something that looks good, 6 nice behind the ball, you're confident with, but also gives you results. So that's a good centred strike. Surprising that Dave likes a black wedge, but like you said, it's got the great face, so it won't scuff up as easy as some of the Vokeys that were all black, jet black finish.
Could have probably just hit it a bit harder. That one more on me than the wedge.
Yeah, so
felt nice though.
Good strike.
Yeah.
Popped up a little bit more of a flight that I know Dave likes.
I do, yeah.
On the golf course, but like you said there, straight away just needed a little bit more swing. So far a contender.
Yeah, very much so. I like that.
So let's go from the most forgiving. I mean, this is not the least forgiving, but we'll go to the classic Vokey SMA, and this has got 8 degrees of bounce, so it's got the least amount of bounce we've had on a wedge. Again, the sole's not as wide, the leading edge looks slightly sharper, but not as sharp as maybe the TaylorMade and the Jaws, so it's in between even though it's got less bounce. So let's see how this one performs. Not too bad.
No, not too bad.
Looks okay over the ball.
It does, yeah. A bit smaller and a bit sharper, I'd say, probably.
It's a little bit smaller, but it doesn't look as small as the TaylorMade.
No, it don't. No.
So not a bad strike. Came out a little bit low on the face. So it ran out, but again, reasonable. Very nice. Good contact.
Yeah, it was.
Centred.
Yeah, slightly about as centred as I get. Yeah.
So, also an option, would you say?
Yeah.
So you see there, Dave was able to, although it had the least amount of bounce, we haven't had much interaction with the ground, so he's been able to control that. And again, it looks a little bit more friendly over there as opposed to the Jaws and the TaylorMade. So we're going to round the video off there. Obviously what we would do now is go around the green and hit a few more shots with the wedges we're going to pick in a second. And then we're going to go, next week's video will be in the bunker. So we're going to take whichever wedges we narrow it down to.
I hope it's warmer.
I hope it's warmer too. But for me, we're going to take out the TaylorMade and we're going to take out the Jaws. And then we're going to keep the Vokey. And then we're going to keep the 3 forgiving ones, so the Mizuno, the Glide and the CB. And it's very much, just because it's obviously forgiving doesn't mean it's for a high handicapper. Depending on your technique, you might be someone with low bounce. The same as if you're a good golfer. I fitted someone the other week who, well, not the other week, the other month even now these days, who plays for England and has done for 20 years, and he went into the Callaway CB. He's a +2 golfer, but that was the one that suited his eye the most and gave him the most confidence.
It's about results, isn't it, more than how it looks? Or to me, I don't care what it looks like so long as it does the job.
Correct. So obviously, depending on you know, colours wise, it's all about which one's going to be the most consistent. If we can get the club that, without changing your technique, can help you get the ball closer, then we're going to take that option.
Yeah.
So we'll get those into the bunker. So we're going to take those 4 into there, and then we're going to finish off our fitting for Dave, and then Dave's going to have to get into his pocket.
Not again.
So what I do know is the one that is the favourite. Which one would you say is your favourite?
Probably the Mizuno. It felt the nicest out of them, if I'm honest.
Which is perfect because it's the most expensive as well. So
In that case, maybe it's not that one.
Absolutely fired.
If she asks, £12.99 each.
$12.99, same as the Slazingers back in the day.
Exactly.
So guys, hopefully you've enjoyed that. Again, comment below any kind of questions you have regarding obviously different finishers, different bouncers, what kind of courses that'll relate to. Again, we're going to talk about that in the bunker next week, what kind of sand and what kind of bounce you might need depending on what course you play. So guys, hopefully you enjoyed that. Thanks for Dave for coming back out, and sorry that we had to wait for Dave to change his hat, and we'll see you again next week.
See you soon.